Hello and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie and I'm recording this from Surrey in the UK. As we have a bank holiday this weekend, I'm actually recording on a Monday, which is the 3rd of May. So we have a day off for everyone in the UK who can actually do that, which is lovely to have a bit of time off in May to celebrate the nice weather as well that we're having at the moment. And that's just lovely. This is my bi-weekly podcast where I talk about knitting, weaving, sewing and dyeing, and I will add another craft to that list, which is spinning, which I've had a go at recently. You can find me on Instagram as a_little_crafting, and you can find me on Ravelry as Ankiwoo. I will pop any links or descriptions in the description box below, and welcome to anyone who is a new viewer, and welcome back to anyone who has been following me for a while. Thanks so much for keeping up with the episodes and supporting me through my YouTube channel. So let's get going with actual content. So I'll start off with some knitting, and that is going to be what I'm wearing at the moment, and this is the Georgetown cardigan by Hannah Fettig. I'll stand up just to show you. This is knit out of Dererum Natura Gilliatt in the Poivre Blanc colourway, which I absolutely love and is probably my favourite yarn. This one I knit a couple of years ago, but it is a sweater that I wear all the time. It is probably my most worn knit out of everything that I've made, including scarves and hats and all sorts, because it's so easy just to put on. It's a plain colour, so it's kind of a wardrobe staple effectively, and it goes with everything because it's just a cream coloured yarn. So just so long as I wear a darker top underneath, it looks good. So I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I wear it all the time. I'd be tempted to knit another one at some point, maybe when this wears out a bit more, but really happy with the yarn, which is really warm, and also with the way that it looks as well. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing, and I'll link to the pattern below. So let's move on to what I have finished this week, and I have to admit that I have not been knitting all that much in the last couple of weeks. I've had a few days off knitting, 3 days actually, and then I've not been that enthusiastic about it the rest of the time. I don't know why. I think it's just changing seasons and just being in a bit of a funk. So it does mean I'm a bit behind on my hats this week, but I have finished one thing, and that is the Heartnut hat, which I was knitting last time, and that is this one here. So this is a pattern by Knox Mountain Knit Co, and I have knit it in a coral colour way, which was dyed by Giddy Yarns, and I got it unravelled a couple of years ago. I love the cables on this. They are so beautiful and so simple to make. Which I think I've mentioned before. Highly recommend the patterns, and there are matching mitts, and there's a cowl and also socks with this stitch pattern on it. Just so pretty. I love my version of the hat that I knit when I test knit this pattern, and I generally gravitate towards wearing that hat during the winter most of the time. But what I love about it is it's got a really interesting brim as well. So it's got a rolled brim, and then a short section of knits and purls, and then you go into the cable section, which is really nice and easy to repeat, and a really lovely knit to do. I made this a bit small, so I'm thinking this is going to be child size. It doesn't quite fit my head that well, so definitely smaller than the average person's head, but I can pop it in my purl and say it's done, and then maybe sell it to friends and family later in the year for the charity donations that I am going to be doing. So yeah, that is my only finished object for this week, which is a bit unusual. Usually I have 2 hats to show you. So yeah, like I said, I am a bit behind. I guess I'll probably have a period of time at some point when I might catch up, because I'll be feeling a bit more enthusiastic about knitting hats. So maybe in the autumn I'll catch up a bit on any that I've missed out, but I'm still trying to knit 1 hat a week. I have just really slowed down a bit the last couple of weeks. So yeah, that is finished objects. So now that I've mentioned that, I will swiftly move on to works in progress. And once again, there's a hat. So I hope you guys aren't getting bored of looking at hats that I've been knitting. So this one is in the leftovers of Dererum Natura Gilliatt that I used for my mosaic cardigan. And I am knitting the March hat, which is a free pattern in the Kelborn Woolens Year of Hats collection, and it's by Meghan Brabin. And I'm knitting this in 2 colours, just because I didn't have enough of one or the other colour of Dererum Natura Gilliatt in my stash, I guess. So the grey is Joyland and the blue is Nuit. And it has this lovely stitch pattern in it that looks like diamonds, but it's just knits and pearls in a different formation. So I thought that was really nice. Yeah, I'm going to just have another stripe of blue, which will be the same length as the grey section here, and then do the crown decreases in the blue. So yeah, and I am enjoying this. It's fairly easy to knit, and yeah, quite a straightforward one. But look, if you don't like ribbing, it's basically just all ribbing in a different form. But yeah, I recommend the pattern so far. It's very clear, it's very straightforward. It's got a chart for the pattern repeats, so that's really nice to be able to follow. And I can easily see what row I'm on if I put it down and I don't mark it. So that's nice that that's an option. This I'm knitting on 4mm needles for the main body of the hat. It calls for 3 different sizes because the pattern actually asks for you to do a tubular cast on, but I just did a standard stretchy cast on. But anyway, you know what I mean, and I will put it in the notes on the screen if I remember before I finish editing. So yeah, this is my second hat of the last 2 weeks and I haven't finished it yet, as you can tell. But yeah, enjoying it. This is going to turn out huge. I'm not sure what is happening with my sizing. I'm going down needle sizes. I think I've knit a fairly small size in the pattern, or I think no, there's only 1 size, so it could be that I haven't gone down enough in needle sizes, but I'm sure there's someone with a large head that would like this hat at the end of the year, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm either seem to be knitting very small hats or very large hats at the moment. Weird. So yeah, I'm keeping this in just a little bowl which is from Tiger in the UK, which is a great shop. I think I know it's Scandinavian, I'm not sure where specifically it's from. But yeah, it's kind of nice. Cool. I have also been knitting a bit more on my Ingalls sweater by Caitlin Hunter, which I have been loving. However, I am now at the Sea of Stockinette section, which means I just have been getting a bit bored of it. But I'll show you where I am at the moment. I'm past the sleeves and just knitting away. So here we go. Sorry about the clanging, that's my needle keeper. So this is where I am at the moment. So I've got a little bit of a way past the separation of the sleeves and it is looking absolutely lovely. So yeah, really love doing the colour work. I think I'd finished that last time, and then just working away on this section here, just below the sleeves. And it does seem to be going slowly, but I am having to do helical knitting. And I urge you to look that up if you're ever using hand-dyed yarn for a sweater, or if you're wanting to do stripes on anything, because it gives you an invisible changeover between the two skeins that you're using. So I'm alternating skeins, and therefore using the helical knitting method. That's so that I don't have too much of a difference between one section and another in this sweater, as hand-dyed yarn can be quite varied between skeins, even in the same dye lot, because of the way that it's dyed. So I didn't want this one section to be darker, slightly darker, and one section to be lighter, so that it's really noticeable. Yeah, really loving this. I really like the yarn. It is Madeline Tosh DK Twist that I got from the US a couple of years ago. And this colour is the Red Woman colour, which is a Game of Thrones reference, and this one is Paper, to add a kind of neutral contrast to this. I was inspired by Eliza Trudd's Christmas Ingalls on Ravelry to knit this pattern in this yarn that I had. So yeah, I'm really happy with it so far. It's going to be a bit of a slog now, but I think I need a D&D session to get through a bit more and keep me going, because we haven't played this weekend, so maybe that's why I'm in a bit of a funk. So yeah, that is going well so far. I am knitting this on my Higher Sharp interchangeable set on 3.25mm needles at the moment, which is smaller than the pattern calls for, always. So yeah, I need to just try this on again, because I was a bit concerned about the body being a bit wide relative to the yoke, as in kind of looser gauge. So I need to try it on and just see what's happening with that. It could be that the yoke is just a bit tighter because of the colour work. I hope I don't have to rip back and start this stockinette section again. We'll see what happens with that, but I'll try it on later today and make sure that it's all okay before I do any more. Yeah, but I did try this on already when I separated for the sleeves, and it is fitting nicely. I just hope it doesn't grow too much, otherwise it will be a bit more baggy than I want when it's washed. We'll see what happens. Looking forward to having that done at some point, although I am still very aware that it's going to be summer soon, and I am currently knitting a winter sweater, so I will probably move on to some lighter garments shortly. Talking about lighter garments, I thought today that as I haven't finished very much and I haven't done very much knitting this week, I would show you some of my Languishing WIPs that I'm hoping to pick up this summer. The first one is the Anker's Summer Shirt by Petiteknits, and this is a really nice kind of summer top. Has a yoke section and then short sleeves and kind of a stockinette body. I started this in August last year, and it is knit out of Antigone, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is another Dererum Natura brand. It is 100% linen, and this is the Pamplemousse colourway. I'm just going to undo my needles. So this is the first thing I have knit in linen, and it was really interesting to try to start off with. So to begin with, I was knitting in metal needles, but what I found is that it was incredibly gappy in terms of my swatch. So I don't think I have the swatch here to show you, but basically what I did was a bit of research online, and it was recommended that instead of using metal needles for linen, you use wooden ones, because they grip a bit more and then you don't have that looseness and unevenness in your knitting. So I think so far it's going quite well. But I ordered some tips, so these are higher, so that the cable would go with it. 2.75mm bamboo knitting needles. So they are a 4-inch length, because I'm doing a yoke, so I wanted something short that I could knit in the round, and I've got these on 32-inch cable. for that. And I am really enjoying it. I'm much happier with the way that it's knitting now and the way that it looks rather than the way it was before. But I get the feeling it is still going to have that kind of light and airy feel. I'm not sure where the linen really moves, so how much this would grow when I wash it, but I'm going to crack on now and see how I get on. This will be a great one to knit over the summer again, and hopefully had finished at some point so that I can wear it as a little top. As it's a top, it shouldn't take me that long to knit compared to like a big sweater, so we'll see. But yeah, I definitely want to pick this up again and knit away on it. It's quite a simple pattern. It just moves from different knit one purl one patterns with some increases. So you've got one section at the top which is your main collar, then it kind of shifts into the next section just here, and then I'm on the third section of that yoke pattern. So yeah, hoping to have that done fairly soon, especially since I started it last August. But this is not the worst of the WIPs that I'm going to be showing you anyway. I haven't looked at the pattern again, so I'll have to have another read and remind myself of where I am, given that it was over 6 months ago that I actually knit this last. But yeah, from what I remember, it was quite an enjoyable pattern to knit, quite straightforward, and just remembering to increase when needed for the yoke. And then I'll have another sea of stockinette to do that I'll get really bored of once again. I will show you the yarn. Let me see if I can find a ball that isn't falling apart. Linen just seems to move around quite a lot, so apologies for the crinkling. Okay, sorry for the very messy ball of yarn, but this is the label, so it's Antigone, and yeah, the colourway is Pamplemousse, and it's just 100% linen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having something knit out of a lighter yarn this year, just because wool is obviously very warm and very kind of quite thick, I would say, relative to other things like linen. So this will be lovely and light and summery, and I'm gonna see what else I can find to knit actually. I'll probably look for some different types of linen yarns and see what sorts of things I can knit with them this summer. Any recommendations, let me know. So yeah, that is my summer top by Petiteknits. In terms of other languishing WIPs, I thought I would also show you a couple more. So my next one is one that I started in September 2018 and kind of put down because I couldn't really decide what to do with it. I wanted to change some colours and I couldn't make up my mind. So that is this one, and this is loosely based on the 3-colour Cashmere cowl by Joji Laocatelli. I was using a mini skein set by Beehive Yarns. I can't remember what it was called, I've probably lost the ball band by now. But it's essentially a stripy cowl with some different textures and details. You've got stripes, you've got eyelet detail further down, and I wanted to do this in blues and turquoise and teal colours, but basically what happened was I had in that selection quite a dark green colour that I'd started this top section on, and I decided it was too dark and didn't really go with the rest, so then I swapped it for this really bright fluorescent yellow and blue colour, which I also don't think goes very well with the rest. Hence my kind of frustration and just popping it in the naughty corner for 2 years almost. No, more than that. What year is it? No, over 2 years it's been in the naughty corner. So I need to rethink what I'm going to do with this. I would really like to carry it on, but I do not know if my gauge will have changed significantly since then, so I might have to do a swatch and just check it against this and maybe go down some needle sizes for it. The alternative colour that I had to use next is a Madeline Tosh unicorn tail, which is a single ply yarn, and this was just one that I got in a mixed pack from Madeline Tosh when I ordered my sweater quantity, and I think this colour will work much better because it's bright, but it's in the same vein and it's still lighter than the other two. Let me do that differently. Yeah, so I'm hoping that will work. But I did originally plan to do this with 5 colours, and I'm only using 3 now, and I don't have enough yarn in a mini skein to finish it off. So yeah, let me see what I can do with what I've got in my stash, and I will pick this up again at some point in the next few weeks. My third Languishing WIP is one that I started in December 2019, and this is one from the book Shawls by Melanie Berg, which I got as a present for my birthday a couple of years ago, and which has some really lovely patterns in it. It is the Solaris shawl. So the Solaris shawl is this one, and I really love the little details of colour on a plain background. I have been knitting this for some time, as you can tell, and I've popped it in the corner for a while because the pattern is quite a tricky one to follow. So obviously I've got it in a book as well, so I can't really have it on my iPad and mark off. So I've actually been kind of ticking it off in the book itself, but it is one of those patterns where you have to follow it row by row, and therefore it's a little bit difficult to do when you're watching TV or doing something else at the same time, which is why I put it down in the first place. I'll show you where I've got to so far though, and the yarn that I'm using. So this is another yarn that I got at Unravel a couple of years ago. This is my main yarn. It is by Dye Dye Done, which is a really lovely, I think, Polish dyer. And their yarn is wonderful. I knit something out of another one of their yarns, which was, I think, a yak silk. And I just love the colours and the tones. It's really lovely. So my main colour is that one. And then I also have some mini skeins. So this is one from Beehive Yarns. It's Take the A Train. Okay. This one, I can't remember where it came from. Let me see if I can get the ball band out. It's from Scientist Yarns. And this is another one that I picked up from Unravel. It's called Symbiosis 4-ply. Just kind of reds and pinks. I've got some more Beehive Yarn colourways. This one is, oh, Rose Lichen. There you go. I've got the ball band here. So this one is Rose Lichen. This one is Cassis. This one is Blackberry or Blackcurrant. Sorry, Blackberry Lips. And then I have another random, which I think was in a set at some point, but I've pulled it out and popped it in here to go with the shawl. So yeah, and then I am not very far on this shawl. So that's where I've got to so far. So you can see these stripes of different colours, and some eyelet detail as well there. Yeah, there you go. So it is going to take 2 balls of 100 grams of fingering weight yarn plus the mini skeins, so it should be quite big. But what I found quite interesting is that it's really difficult to see the shape of the shawl in the photos that have been taken for this book. So you kind of see it wrapped around someone, but you don't see the full shape. So I haven't had no idea for a long time what it was going to look like. And I did see one on Ravelry, because it's not clear that you have to do this sort of detail on the initial pictures. I didn't realise this was going to be part of the shawl because of the way that it's wrapped around. So it's interesting. I don't know, I should pick it up and carry on, especially now that I'm at home so much due to COVID and everything. It shouldn't be difficult to just grab the book, do a few rows and then pop it away again, and maybe just have it as a long-term project when I feel like it. Yeah, that's where I am now. I am not 100% sure on my colour choices, to be honest. I really do like this dun yarn as a base colour. But I think something like the Rose Lichen and this one that I've picked out as well will blend in maybe too much. The Take the A Train will be nice, I think, and this one will probably pop because it's got very similar colours to the first two that I've used, the Blackberry Lips and the Cassis. So I might rethink these two just because they'll blend in far too much. So let's see what I do. too many mini skein options here, and yeah, this is in the the bag that it's been in for the last 2 years, which is a pink hazel bag that I bought at Unravel the first time I went, which would have probably been 2017, I imagine. It's a nice size bag for a shawl. It fits quite all of those 2 skeins and mini skeins in there. It's quite chunky, and then I do also have some pins on here. So this is my craft group pin, which was laser cut out of wood by one of our members. This one is an cat in bag, I think that's how you say it. So it is a cat with a colourwork cat sweater on, and then this one's just one, which is a sheep from Knit Picks. I need to add a few more to here, so that's something that I'll be looking out for soon. But I need ones that match the bag, so it's got a bit of purple on the back, but yeah, mostly pink and turquoise, which are colours I love, and grey as the neutral. I think this was the first project bag that I bought, so yeah, it's got a good place in my heart, although they are quite pricey from Pink Hazel I've seen. So I think this one was about £30. I probably can't show you the inside that easily because it's full of yarn, but there is a zip pocket on one side, and it is a really nice sturdy fabric, and the drawstrings are lovely too, so made out of the same fabric. It's great. Oh, and that is it in terms of the Languishing WIPs I'm going to pick up in the next few weeks. So on to the next thing that I've been up to, which is a bit of weaving. So I picked out a couple of yarns that I thought a friend of mine would like, which have been sitting in my stash from Nora George Yarns. The first one that I've been using is a stellina colourway with gold stellina, and it's the Cinquefoil colourway. And it's a really lovely kind of speckled pinky colour with lots of pops of brighter colours. So I'm going to show you, I have been weaving with this yarn, and that is because I want to make some more bags. I should be getting my sewing machine back from my mum today, so I'm going to get cracking, make some masks, make some bags, and that will be really nice to do. So this is the colourway Woven Up, and you can see it's got quite a plain base, but it's got all of these lovely lines and pops of colour, and what I find interesting is that if you're knitting a sock out of this, you get micro striping, but because I'm knitting, because I am weaving a shawl or a piece of cloth, the lines cross over, so you get this kind of crisscross pattern, which looks really cool, I think, especially for a bag. I think that would be really nice. So that's the colourway as like one strand in each direction. Then I ran out of the colourway because I didn't calculate things correctly, so I also used some leftovers of Dererum yarns, which was a gradient skein in pink, and that's what that looks like. So just lines in one direction and then the pink going the other way. So I thought that looked really pretty, and what I might do actually is do a bag with one side in that colour and one side in that colour, because I think it looks really lovely. And then right at the end I ran out of the pink, so I used a little bit of some more leftovers of Dererum yarns in the gradient skein. This is a kind of minty green colour, just to finish it off, which also looks really lovely. So this is one of the things where I go, oh, I really like this yarn, I might have to get more, and I'll have to look on Nora George's website and find the same yarn again and buy it, and then finish off a bit of fabric in this colour. I think I might make a little coin purse with this end, but let's see if I've got enough. And then, yeah, like I said, some bags out of this one and this one. You can see my aim was actually to make a scarf, but because I made a massive error in my calculations with the yarn quantity, I obviously haven't got a scarf here. I've got 4 bits or 3 bits of fabric instead. But yeah, I thought that looked really pretty, and it just goes to show that you can use lovely hand-dyed yarns for weaving and make something out of them later. And I think they look really beautiful and really different to how a kind of non-superwash plain yarn would be, rather than something speckled or variegated. Oh yeah, I do love the pink. So I have been doing a bit of that. This is something that's been taking up a bit more time, because it's fingering weight yarn. It takes a lot longer to weave with than something like DK or Sport. But I'm really happy with the fabric that I've created, and I will have to show you soon what I end up making out of it. So that's the weaving content, and then finally I just wanted to talk a bit about the spinning that I've been doing. So I have not been doing much. Basically I got a spinning wheel when my family were selling my grandmother's house, as she's in a home now. And she had a spinning wheel that she got from New Zealand. It's an Easy Craft spinning wheel. We think she would have bought it in the 70s maybe. And my dad found it in the attic and thought, you know what, that's a good idea for me to have that. And yeah, the trouble with it is that the wheel itself is very wobbly. We think it's had something heavy stored on top of it, so the spokes are a bit bent. But I asked on a Ravelry group for some help, and they suggested that if I put a drive band on it, see if it actually works to spin, because it shouldn't matter too much if it's got the kind of movement that works with the spinning. If it still spins and the drive band doesn't fall off, then it should be fine, and that is exactly what has happened. So very pleased to be able to use it. So what I've done is ordered some kind of scraps of unspun yarn, so bats I think. So this is top ends and scraps that I have got from the fibrehut.co.uk, and I have done a little bit of spinning, and my husband has had a go as well, so we've both managed to do a bit of spinning on the wheel, although it's taken me a while to get the hang of it. I kind of understand the foot motion, but I can't seem to also concentrate on doing the drafting of the yarn at the same time as the foot motion. So I stop, I draft, and then I do the feet to then spin the yarn and onto the bobbin. Yeah, I really feel like I could do with a lesson. So I'm going to have a look around and see if I can get someone to teach me. But we have just spun a little bit of merino silk in this kind of turquoise colour. Yeah, so you can see it's really thick and thin. There you go. So it's very thick and thin, it's a bit all over the place, but it is spun yarn, so it's definitely a start. And I have this bag full of different unspun stuff, I guess top ends and scraps. So I've got all sorts of different things to try. looks like a natural one. And yeah, I'm going to keep having a go at that and hopefully get the hang of it. I have tried a little bit more since doing this, and I do seem to be able to get the hang of getting a more even yarn, and also this is very over twisted in some places, so I'm just trying to make it a bit more even in terms of the twisting as well, not over twist everything. I have the problem where I keep going one way and then suddenly it will go the other way and I just go, no, stop. But yeah, any tips in terms of learning spinning on a spinning wheel would be greatly appreciated as well. So yeah, I'm having a go at that. Let's see how I get on. But either way, it's really lovely to have my grandmother's spinning wheel now. And I have been doing some yarn dyeing, but I will post a link to the episode where I talk about all of that, which I recorded last week. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you liked this episode, as it really helps me to get more visibility. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a lovely crafty week. Bye.